So, you've unlocked expeditions on Outriders. What's up, guys? I'm Mid-Softing. If you're watching this, it's probably because you just unlocked expeditions and Outriders after completing the campaign. I have over 400 hours into the game. I've played it extensively, and here are my 5 tips and tricks for beating expeditions. My first tip for beating expeditions on Outriders is to make sure you get your cooldowns. Cooldowns are offered every single time you hit a door, push rocks out of the way, or anything else that leads you into the next area of the expedition. Make sure the person on your team who needs the cooldown the most is the one who hits it. My second tip is to make sure you pay attention to the attributes on each piece of armor. There's 3 attributes on every piece of armor you get, and it's completely random what lands on it. You can use bonus firepower, long range damage, and close range damage like I do on my Technomancer because it's a firepower build, and this is going to optimize your firepower at all ranges. Make sure you get as many pieces as you can with those exact attributes on it. Unfortunately, if you're using a legendary set, you won't be able to get those attributes on it because the legendary sets always have the same 3 attributes. So the one that I'm using right now is the Borealis Monarch set. Unfortunately, it uses max health cooldown reduction long range, max health cooldown reduction long range. You get the picture. Either way, the bonus that you get from wearing 3 pieces of legendary armor is better than having the right 3 attributes. But make sure that the 2 pieces you're wearing that aren't legendary have them on it, or you're going to be severely weaker than you would be with those 3 attributes. If you're using a anomaly power build, something like anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and status power is going to be optimal for that build, like if you're playing a Devastator. For example, here's my Devastator build. You can see that I'm using Seismic Commander's Armor 3-piece. It's not fully upgraded yet because I'm still finishing up my Devastator. But on the Seismic Commander's Armor 3-piece, you're lucky enough to get anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction, which is exactly what you want for an anomaly-based build. Fortunately, I do have a helmet and a pair of gloves that have the same 3 attributes. Having all of these attributes is going to significantly increase the amount of damage and cooldown that you have. For example, a maxed out cooldown reduction, a maxed out anomaly power is going to increase by this much on each piece of gear. So 12k anomaly, 30% status power, etc. My next tip is to always make sure every piece of gear and your weapons are fully upgraded. You do this by going to Zahedi outside of where you enter the expeditions. By talking to Zahedi, you can hit upgrade armor, you can go to each individual piece, and not only can you level them up, this is the armor or weapons level. Make sure it's at level 50 once you can reach level 50, which you can only do by completing all the expedition CT levels. But not only do you have to level it up all the way, make sure you raise those attributes that we just talked about. You do that by hitting raise attributes. You then use shards, which are right here, to upgrade each of these as high as you possibly can so that each piece is maxed out. If you don't max out each of these attributes, then they're not giving you power to the fullest potential. Fortunately, I have maxed out resources and pretty much everything because I played this so much. But to get resources, the main way you can do that is by scrapping other pieces of gear, so basically farming and getting blues and purples and dismantling them, and also by completing expeditions, you'll get titanium shards and drop pod resources. Over time, it just kind of accumulates from you playing. You can do farming runs to get certain crafting materials if you want to, but really, you'll just get it over time by playing the game, so that's what I would recommend doing because it's the most fun way to do it. Another tip is to make sure you visit Tiago right off the start and see if he has anything useful to you. Tiago's right here if you're in the camp. You can find him sitting on this box right here by the fire. Once you talk to him, you'll see that he has a bunch of items that you can trade for resources. By using drop pod resources, you can buy a bunch of legendary pieces of armor and even a weapon. For example, if you're using a bleed build on, say, a Devastator, and you want every enemy to bleed, you can buy this Bulwark and get the tier 3 bleeding mod so that your gun will do as much bleeding as possible. Additionally, whatever class you're playing, he's going to have 4 different pieces of legendary armor that you can purchase. So for example, I'm using the Borealis Monarch set right now. If I didn't have this piece or that tier 3 mod that says Icicle Storm, I could come over to Tiago and buy it for 79,995 drop pod resources. You can buy these no matter which CT level you're at, but the armor will scale with your current wearable level. So they'll be much cheaper, say 5,000 drop pod resources, but the armor level will only be like level 40 or 39 or whatever you're at currently. Well, you can take that armor and level it up all the way, but honestly, it's going to take you way more resources to level it to 50 than it would to just play the game and buy it once you get to 50. That's why I recommend getting your CTs max so you can play 15s and wear level 50 armor, then buy the level 50 armor from Tiago, instead of wasting all your resources upgrading it 10 levels or whatever the case may be. My final tip is when you're choosing expeditions, you're going to come to this table and pull up this map. Each time you come to locate the drop pods, you'll find a bunch of different expeditions you can do. Knowing the difference is kind of important. Expeditions like Boomtown are very fast and they only take a few minutes to get through, but you better have a lot of damage ready because the final fight in the last room involves some powerful elites with a ton of health. Additionally, expeditions like Colosseum and some others that will pop up in this area, such as the Drought Palace, Scorched Lands, or even City of Nomads, I believe, all require drop pod resources to enter. Paxian Homestead and Boomtown, as you can see, don't require drop pod resources, but you can see Colosseum requires 28,000 drop pod resources. Fortunately, when the game first came out, there was no reason to spend drop pod resources to do these expeditions. But PCF has updated the game, so now you can see that Boomtown offers 26.4k drop pod resources, 40% legendary, 60% epic, and a bonus reward. But if you pay the drop pod resources to enter Colosseum instead, that jumps up to 45% legendary, 55% epic, 51k drop pod resources, and increased rarity bonus reward. So if you have the drop pod resources, I recommend doing those because there's a better chance that you get good gear, which therefore it will take you less time to farm your gear for your character. However, if you're very weak and you're just starting out on the expeditions and you don't really have a lot of drop pod resources, honestly, the good drops at that level aren't really worth farming and leveling all the way. So your goal should just be to get to the CT 14s or 15s so that you can farm there. So just accumulate as much drop pod resources as you possibly can, get to the final end game, and then start farming. And that's when you want to do expeditions like Colosseum that require drop pod resources so that you get a better drop rate. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was my 5 tips for Outriders Expeditions if you're new to the game and you've never done them before. Once you finish the campaign, that's what there is left to do. You want to gear up as best you can and you just want to try and smoke everything in your path. Gearing up your character can be really rewarding and really fun, but make sure you know what you're doing. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing to my channel. Additionally, if you have any questions, please leave a comment and ask me. I might even make more videos like this in the future and give you guys some more tips if you're interested, so please let me know if you are. Check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/mitsofting, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.